Okay, let's talk about caffeine. It's the world's favorite pick-me-up, but do you really know what it's doing inside your body? Well, we're about to find out by diving into the science with a little help from 4 espressos.
You've probably thought about it, right? On one of those mornings where one coffee just doesn't seem like it's going to cut it. But what actually happens if you go for it? What does 4 shots of espresso, all at once, on an empty stomach, do to your brain and your body?
So yeah, we did it. Now, I have to say this, and it's really important. We did this for science, so you don't have to. Seriously, please do not try this at home. Our goal here is to learn something, not to see who can get the most jitters.
All right, mission accomplished. The 4 espressos are down. And now, we wait. While we see how this plays out, let's actually look at the science of what's already kicking off inside the body. The second you take that first sip, caffeine starts this incredibly fast journey through your system. Let's follow it, all the way from the cup right into your brain. So first, it hits your stomach and intestines, and from there, it gets absorbed straight into your bloodstream. And I mean fast. On an empty stomach, we're talking as little as 15 minutes. Then the bloodstream carries it, well, everywhere. It dissolves in all your body's fluids. And because the caffeine molecule is so good at mixing with fats, it can slip through almost any barrier, including the big one, the blood-brain barrier. And that is the absolute key. The whole reason caffeine gives you that kick is because it's a psychotropic substance. That's just a scientific way of saying it directly messes with your brain function. In fact, it's the most widely used psychoactive drug on the entire planet, all because of how it changes what's going on up here.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does caffeine actually pull off this brain hijacking trick to make you feel wide awake? It all comes down to a tiny little battle for parking spots on your brain cells.
Everybody, meet adenosine. You can think of it as the sleepy molecule. As you go through your day and your brain does its thing, adenosine slowly builds up. Its job is to find a specific receptor on your neurons, and once it docks, it tells that neuron to slow down. That's what makes you feel tired.
And this shows it perfectly. On the left, that's business as usual. Adenosine pulls into its parking spot, the receptor, and you start to feel sleepy. But when caffeine shows up, as you see on the right, it's a total game changer. It's shaped just enough like adenosine to steal its parking spot, but it doesn't actually send the slow down signal. So adenosine is left driving around with nowhere to park, and your neurons just keep firing away. You feel alert, you feel awake. It's that simple. Of course, coffee isn't the only game in town. Caffeine is hiding in all sorts of things we have every day. And you might actually be a little surprised to see how they all stack up. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. You'd think an espresso is the biggest caffeine bomb, right? Well, a standard shot and a typical energy drink are actually neck and neck, both around 80 milligrams. But look at the Americano. Because you're using more coffee to make a bigger drink, a 200 milliliter Americano can actually have more caffeine, clocking in around 90 milligrams. Who knew? Okay, time to check back in on our little experiment. And yeah, the effects are not exactly subtle anymore. Something is definitely happening. Let's be specific here. 4 espressos at about 80 milligrams each means we're dealing with a 320 milligram dose that hit the system all at the same time. To put that in perspective, the official daily maximum for an adult is 400 milligrams, but that's spread out over a whole day. This was not spread out. And you can see the physical results. The direct quote from our experimenter was, "My hand is shaking. I never tremble." So this has gone way past just feeling buzzed or wired. This is the body having a real physical reaction to a huge dose.
And there's a clinical name for what's happening. It's called caffeine intoxication. It can actually kick in from a single dose of over 300 milligrams, which is exactly where we landed. When you look at the official symptoms, it's pretty much a perfect description of the experience. You've got the muscle tremors, we just saw that. Gastrointestinal distress, yep, a feeling of really intense heartburn was reported because caffeine makes your stomach produce more acid. Then you add in restlessness, nervousness, a chaotic flow of thoughts. It's a textbook overdose. So we've seen what happens when you blow past the limits, but what are the official safe guidelines for the rest of us on a normal day? Well, according to the European Food Safety Authority, for most healthy adults, up to 400 milligrams a day is considered safe. Just make sure it's spread throughout the day. That's about the equivalent of 5 espressos. But, and this is critical, for pregnant women, that number is cut right in half. The maximum recommended dose is 200 milligrams per day. That's because high caffeine intake has been linked to issues with fetal development, so sticking to this lower limit is super important.
And for kids and teenagers, the guideline is based on their weight, a max of 3 milligrams of caffeine for every kilogram of body weight. So let's say you have a child who weighs 30 kilos, or about 66 pounds. Their daily limit would be 90 milligrams, so about 1 Americano, and that's it for the day.
Now, back to our experiment for the final chapter. About 2 hours later, the body has processed most of that caffeine, and those brain receptors are finally free again. But what happens now? Well, all that adenosine that's been building up for hours with nowhere to go, it suddenly rushes in and floods every available receptor. And the result is the infamous crash. A sudden, overwhelming wave of tiredness hits you like a truck. The brain is finally getting all those sleepy signals it was missing.
So there you have it. From hijacking your brain cells all the way to the official daily limits, we've seen what caffeine is really up to. It's an amazing tool for staying alert, but as our little experiment showed us, the dose really does make the poison. You know the science now. The only question left is, how are you going to use your caffeine?